Hello underachievers, so here's a quick one, it's also an important one, and probably one that I'm gonna delete, so if you want to see a deleted video, welcome, hello. So a few months ago, I posted a video where I pretty much just talked about how exhausted I am with the state of transphobia, and I used to think it was just in the US. Like, I thought, we're good, the UK, we're good, no problems anywhere whatsoever. Obviously I didn't think that, but, you know, I thought the US was the baddies, you know, they had Trump. That pushed you back a little bit, I'm sorry Americans. But to be completely honest with you, these past few years living in the UK and going back and forth between tours in the US and the UK, things don't feel all too different. I feel like the UK is following suit. I'm not a fan of that. So just in the past year in the UK, they have shut down the only NHS kids gender clinic, which means that kids that want to be on a wait list for, you know, maybe just someone to talk to about the fact that they think they're trans, they said they would open up regional centers so kids would have shorter wait lists and they wouldn't be waiting for like 4 years just to be seen by someone. But have they opened up the regional centers? No, of course not. We knew they weren't going to do that. As soon as they said they were shutting that one down, I was like, oh right, that's the end of that then. They said they wanted these kids to have access to better resources and shorter waiting times, but like now they just don't. Now they just don't. Anyway, they've also changed the rules when it comes to hormone blockers, which by the way, can we just say have been used safely on cis kids with precocious puberty since the 80s. Like, yes, there are side effects, as there are with literally every medication, but they have been used and used and used without complaint on cis kids. The point is that the government have made a distinction between who can and who cannot access this medication. The distinction is just that cis kids can and trans kids can't unless they're part of a research study. If you want to access hormone blockers as a minor in the UK, you have to agree to be part of clinical research. So unless you want data to be collected on you, sorry, I guess that sucks. Like, that genuinely feels like what the approach from the higher-ups is. The government are also trying to change the rules when it comes to kids in schools in terms of them being trans. If they want to change their name, their parents have to be notified and asked permission. If they reference anything about being trans, then their parents have to be told. And by the way, this specific part is not set in stone, so if you're a trans kid in the closet and you're out at school, this may not necessarily happen, but it is in talks, and I've seen a lot of media coverage of this potential rule being put in place. And to somebody from the outside, they may think, oh, well, yeah, like a kid's parents should know what the kid is doing. To somebody who has had friends who were abused for being trans, who's had friends who were kicked out for being trans, it does not sound like a good idea for me, because a lot of the time, there are places in kids' lives that they can be safe. And sometimes home is not one of those places. Sometimes school is that place. That was not the case for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people. But the fact is, it's just dangerous to out kids to their parents, because there's probably a reason that they haven't come out to their parents if they're more likely to come out to a teacher or a friend at school. And I think the thing that's been winding me up recently is just the fact that, like, politicians and very popular celebrities, are coming out with this kind of bullshit. And let's not even get into the literal Prime Minister of the UK saying this and getting applauded for it.
And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
There's just so much unnecessary anti-trans stuff. You can look at the hate crime statistics. You can look at the increase of anti-trans hit pieces in the media. Like, it's all there. And this video is not here to make people scared or stressed. I'm just talking about the reality of the situation, is that things are not really that great, and that doesn't mean that things won't get better. I 100% think that things will get better. The arguments transphobes are using now are just recycled arguments from the 80s that they used against gay people. Oh, it's dangerous for these people to be around my kids. Ooh, these people are predators just because they're queer. Anyway, let's not get too much into that. The point is, for a long time, I felt so embarrassed by the fact that people just saw me as a trans guy, because I was still just kind of embarrassed about being trans. I had so much shame around it. And that's honestly up until very recently, and there's probably still a little bit of that because I had such a difficult time accepting myself. And when I say that, I don't mean that it was hard for me to finally realize that I was trans, because Jesus Christ. I was 5 years old packing. I was 5 years old telling kids on the playground I was a boy, my name was Alex. I was 5 years old trying to face the toilet to pee because I thought that's how boys pee. And I think the thing for me is that it's very conflicting to have this kind of thing as my job, where I speak so much about trans stuff. I brand myself as a trans person, yet I still feel shame. And it's obviously very conflicting trying to reach trans people, trying to uplift trans people, trying to help them, trying to give them the resources that I maybe didn't have when I was their age. It's conflicting trying to do that and then simultaneously not being defined by being trans. And I used to say all the time that I only write music about how I feel, and being trans just was not on my mind. It was just not something that I thought about unless it came to making content. Like in my day-to-day life, I wasn't bothered. I've been on testosterone for over 5 years. I had top surgery when I was 19. I'm out of the closet. I'm not terrified identified. I'm not, you know, ridiculously dysphoric every single day. And I'm not here to say that that's the right choice for anybody, apart from myself. I have only ever wanted to speak about my experience, but the point is that these things were things that helped me live my life comfortably. And I really just hate to see people trying to take away those things from people that are like me, that have gone through the same things that I've gone through. And you know what? I didn't think that much about being trans because there wasn't so much going on, but honestly, in the past year, being angry and scared and pissed off and sad about the state of trans rights in the world right now is a daily thought in my mind. So that leads me onto this. For a long time after I released Asthma Attack, which is a song that I wrote when I was 15 that was about how hard it was for me to be trans, I never wanted to reference being trans in my music ever again because, as I said earlier, I don't want to be defined by being trans because there is so much more to me as a person than that thing I really struggled with. And I think that's something that I struggle with is that, like, I see a lot of people nowadays talking about trans joy and how affirming things are, and it's being framed in such a positive way, which I am so happy that, like, kids are growing up and, you know, that maybe they're not as horribly depressed about themselves being trans. But I honestly think that even if I was growing up nowadays, I still wouldn't have that mindset, because when I tell you that my dysphoria was debilitating, it was debilitating. I could not leave the house. I could not look in the mirror sometimes without crying. I would sometimes wake up, look at myself, go back to bed, cry. I couldn't speak to people on the phone. I didn't know how to make conversation with people because I was just so uncomfortable with the fact that they were maybe looking at me as a girl and interacting with me as a girl and treating me like a girl, and the level of dysphoria and discomfort that that gave me, I just could not handle. Being trans personally, and I hope this makes sense, has never been a positive thing for me. The community that I've found, the relationships that I've made, the experiences that I've had in terms of, like, I don't want to say activism because I don't want to claim that label because I just make YouTube videos, whatever. But, like, the people that I've met, the experiences that I've been able to have due to being in the community have been so positive. But just personally myself, I just, like, that it was just never positive. I've had debilitating dysphoria since I was a young child up until I got top surgery when I was 19. And I think that really changed my life, in all honesty, was playing shows and seeing how much you guys connected to songs like Asthma Attack. It's hard when you've just been making videos for so long, since you were literally a child. I was like 15 when I posted my first YouTube video. I've had an audience for almost 10 years, and that terrifies me. But, like, there's a difference between posting a video, seeing the numbers go up, and be like, oh cool, 7,000 views, that means 7,000 people clicked on this. It's hard in my teenage brain, and even, like, now sometimes, to think of those views as actual people. But, like, playing shows and seeing the people there, and seeing the emotion in their eyes, and seeing them crying and screaming back the lyrics to me about this song that they relate so much to, I cannot be mad about it. Like, I can't be upset. I don't think Asthma Attack is a great song. I think emotionally it definitely hits hard in very specific places, and I guess that's why people like it. But since playing shows, I just realized how important that kind of feeling is, and I want to be able to keep doing that, because who the hell wouldn't? Like, if you can make something that people connect so much to, that helps them feel less about themselves, and why wouldn't you? I realized that I just need to get over this whole thing. I don't know if it's really something that I can get over, because, you know, internalized transphobic brain rot, but I need to stop caring so much if people only see me as a trans person, because I know that I'm way more interesting than just that thing that didn't happen to me, but just that thing that I've struggled with. Because again, like, trans joy, like, I love people that have that. I'm so happy for you. But, like, to me, being trans has only been something that I've struggled with. So I decided to do something about the feelings that I was having. As I was saying, I've just been real pissed off. I've been real sad. I've felt really helpless about the fact that I can't do anything, really, about the state of the world. Like, I'd tour in the US, and I'd go to Texas, and I'd go to places in the South where the rules and the laws about trans people and trans kids are insane. And I would speak to these trans kids. I'd hear how their school life is, how their parents are, how their church is. And it's just driven me a little bit insane. I can't lie. I just feel so helpless about it. The one thing that I know how to do, the two things that I know how to do, is make videos like this and make music, which is what this video is kind of for. So I've written an anti-TERF, anti-transphobe song called Scumbag, and it comes out October 26th. It's aimed at people who hide their hatred of trans people behind the guise of protecting women and children, because we all know that's bullshit. Trans people are not a threat. Trans people have never been a threat. Trans people are more likely to experience violence than perpetrate it. I'm tired of the media scapegoating trans people, and you know what? I am sick and tired of celebrities coming out in opposition to queer people's rights and having people be like, yeah, they're standing up for women and children because transgender people trying to live their life in peace and be happy is a threat to their existence, apparently. I just really dislike the fact that celebrities are lauded for taking a stand, because they're taking the wrong stand. And we'll figure that out in 50 years or so when people look back and are like, oh, why did that person say that and get clapped for it? I can't really say too much about the song due to legal reasons. I wish I could say more, but I hope you enjoy this song. I feel like if you like Asthma Attack, you'll like this. It sounds very different, obviously. It's a different take on trans stuff. It's less of a, oh, I'm sad, everything sucks, I don't want to live, and more of a, hey, you, I'm not embarrassed anymore. So I hope it gives you something to yell about when you're feeling sad about being trans, or you're just feeling pissed off in general, because I feel like that's a vibe. But yeah, Scumbag out October 26th, pre-save link in the bio. I would love if you pre-saved it. It genuinely does help, regardless of how annoying it might be for me to tell you that every single time. It does boost it in the algorithm. But yeah, I guess that's the end of the video. I'm sending out my love and my hugs to anybody who's feeling about this, because I don't know, it's so hard to not be parasocial, because I'm like, I know I don't know you, hi, but I know that you're probably going through something similar that I went through, or maybe you're just watching as an ally. Hi, ally. But anyway, yeah, have a good day. Don't see you later, losers. Goodbye.